I always love to talk about values and how they should inform your decision making. And this article kind of confirms that. It's like, have some framework in place, have some filters in place by which you make your decisions so that, you know, it's less of a like, well, we'll call it how we see it, case by case scenario, and more of a shared expectation of how your organization should be thinking and should be making decisions.
hmm I think where the ethics and morals can sometimes become difficult is, as HR pros, we often fall back on policies to determine what the appropriate action is. But there's often times where something may happen in the business that's not technically a violation of the policy, but it still needs to be addressed. And it's important to balance the needs of the business but also the needs of your team. And one of the examples that was in the SHRM article was for for example, a team member who may have been diagnosed with an illness, and it was a contagious illness, and the manager hypothetically instructed that person not to say anything to anyone. And you can see the challenges with that is if a decision such as that isn't necessarily illegal per se, then, or you don't have a specific policy based on the industry that you're in where it's a violation, like there's still an obligation there,
Yep.
right? To protect your team members, and that's where that ethical and moral decision making comes into play.
And that's the tricky part. That's why I keep going back to it's tough enough for HR pros who have some form of like framework and context and past experience. But when it's the entrepreneur that's going at it alone or the manager who's going at it alone and they have no HR to talk to, how will they navigate ethical decisions that have unintended consequences either way? And so, all the more reason to kind of refresh yourself on, where does my organization stand on ethical conundrums like this? Because it's incredibly important to have a plan before you need it. I think of the phrase, "build your well before you're thirsty." And it's kind of like have a plan for managing ethical or unethical consequences, unethical decisions before you need it.